In the small, quiet town of Eldridge, life moved at a pace so slow that it often felt like time itself had forgotten the place. Nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, the town was a patchwork of wooden houses, narrow roads, and open fields where children played until the sun dipped below the horizon. It was the kind of place where everyone knew each other's names, where doors were left unlocked at night, and where the biggest excitement came from the annual summer fair. But beneath this serene surface, something extraordinary was about to unfold, something that would change not just Eldridge but the entire world. 12-year-old Emily Carter lived in a modest house on the edge of town. Her home was surrounded by thick woods, which she loved exploring with her loyal dog, Max. Emily was a curious child, always asking questions and seeking answers. She spent her days climbing trees, chasing butterflies, and imagining herself as an adventurer discovering hidden treasures in the forest. Her parents, James and Sarah, often joked that their daughter had inherited her adventurous spirit from her father, a retired military officer who now worked as a mechanic in town. Despite his tough exterior, James had a soft spot for his little girl, and he encouraged her curiosity, even if it sometimes worried him. One warm summer evening, as the sun began its descent and painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, Emily noticed Max barking frantically near the edge of the woods. Curious, she followed him, calling out his name. "Max, come back here!" she shouted, her voice echoing through the trees. The dog disappeared into the shadows, leaving Emily no choice but to step deeper into the forest. At first, everything seemed normal. The rustling leaves, the chirping crickets, the faint smell of pine. But then, something caught her eye. A strange glow emanated from a clearing up ahead, pulsating like a heartbeat. Her heart raced as she crept closer, unsure of what she might find. When Emily reached the clearing, her breath caught in her throat. In the center stood a massive object unlike anything she had ever seen. It was round, metallic, and shimmering with a silvery light that seemed to dance across its surface. The air around it hummed with energy, making the hair on her arms stand on end. Emily froze, her mind struggling to make sense of what she was seeing. Before she could react, a section of the object slid open with a hiss, revealing a dark interior. Out stepped several figures, tall and slender, with elongated limbs, and large almond-shaped eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light. They moved with an eerie grace, their movements almost too fluid to be natural. Emily's legs trembled as she pressed herself against a tree, trying to stay hidden. From her vantage point, she watched in horror as the creatures dragged unconscious, humans, 1, 2, 3 of them, toward the glowing object. Their faces were pale, their bodies limp, as though they had been drugged or paralyzed. Emily's stomach churned as realization dawned on her. These beings weren't here to explore or communicate. They were here to take, to abduct, and they had done it before. She wanted to scream, to run, but fear held her in place, rooting her to the spot like a statue. The aliens worked quickly, loading the unconscious humans into the craft with cold efficiency. Emily's mind raced as she tried to piece together what she was witnessing. Were these people from Eldridge? Had they been taken from nearby towns? She thought of her parents, her friends, her neighbors, all of them vulnerable, none of them aware of the danger lurking just beyond their doorstep. Tears welled up in her eyes as she realized how powerless she was. What could a 12-year-old girl do against such advanced beings? Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the aliens finished their task. With one last glance around the clearing, they re-entered the craft, and the hatch sealed shut behind them. The humming grew louder and the object lifted off the ground, hovering briefly before shooting upward into the sky. In seconds, it was gone, leaving only silence and the faint smell of ozone in its wake. Emily waited a few moments longer, her body trembling, before finally daring to move. She stumbled back toward the path, her mind overwhelmed with questions and fear. When she reached home, her parents were sitting at the kitchen table discussing their plans for the weekend. They looked up in surprise when Emily burst through the door, her face pale and her eyes wide with terror. "Dad, Mom," she cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You won't believe what I saw." James immediately stood, concern etched on his face. He knelt down to meet her gaze, his voice calm but firm. "Slow down, sweetheart. What happened? Are you hurt?" Through sobs, Emily recounted her experience in the woods, the glowing object, the strange beings, the abducted humans. At first, James and Sarah exchanged skeptical glances. Alien stories were the stuff of movies and science fiction novels, after all. But the look in Emily's eyes was unmistakable. It was the look of someone who had seen something truly terrifying. James, whose years in the military had taught him to trust his instincts, couldn't dismiss her story outright. "Show me," he said finally, his tone resolute. "Take me to where you saw it." Under the cover of darkness, James and Emily returned to the clearing. The area was eerily quiet, the only sound the rustling of leaves in the breeze. But there, on the ground, were unmistakable signs of disturbance: scorched patches of earth, broken branches, and faint indentations where the object had rested. James examined the scene carefully, his jaw tightening as he pieced together the evidence. Whatever had happened here, it wasn't natural, and it wasn't human. Over the next few days, James dug deeper, driven by a mix of protectiveness and suspicion. He reached out to old comrades from his military days, men and women who still had connections within intelligence agencies. At first, they dismissed his inquiries, brushing them off as paranoia or overactive imagination, but James persisted, sharing details about the marks in the clearing and Emily's account of the abduction. Slowly, reluctantly, they began to listen, and what they revealed shocked him to his core. Decades of classified reports surfaced, detailing similar incidents across the globe. Abductions, experiments, disappearances, all attributed to extraterrestrial activity. Governments had known for years but had chosen to keep the truth hidden, fearing mass panic and societal collapse. For James, the revelation was both infuriating and heartbreaking. His daughter hadn't imagined what she saw. She had stumbled upon a secret that stretched far beyond Eldridge, far beyond Earth itself. As word of James's findings spread among trusted circles, outrage simmered within humanity. People demanded answers, demanding action. How could governments allow such a threat to go unchecked? Why had they kept their citizens in the dark for so long? Protests erupted in cities worldwide, fueled by fear, anger, and a desperate need for protection. Leaders scrambled to respond, convening emergency meetings to address the growing crisis. For the first time in history, nations put aside their differences and united under a single cause: defending humanity. In Eldridge, Emily became a symbol of resilience. Though shaken by her experience, she refused to let fear consume her. Instead, she channeled her emotions into determination, vowing to help however she could. She accompanied her father to meetings, shared her story with journalists, and spoke at rallies, urging others to stay strong. Her courage inspired countless others, reminding them that even in the face of overwhelming odds, hope could prevail. Meanwhile, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly, developing technologies capable of countering the alien threat. Laboratories buzzed with activity as researchers pushed the boundaries of human ingenuity. Weapon systems, defense grids, communication arrays, all were designed with one goal in mind: ensuring that no one, not even a child, would ever feel unsafe again. Humanity had been caught off guard once, but it wouldn't happen again. Together, they forged a new era, one defined by unity, strength, and an unshakable resolve to protect every single life on Earth. And so, the stage was set for humanity's greatest challenge yet. The skies above Eldridge and the rest of the world would soon bear witness to a transformation unlike any other. The aliens, who had long viewed humans as weak and insignificant, were about to learn a harsh lesson. You don't mess with Earth without consequences. The revelation of alien abductions sent shockwaves through humanity, but it also ignited a fire within people, a fire fueled by fear, anger, and an unyielding determination to protect their own. In Eldridge, the small town where Emily Carter had first stumbled upon the extraterrestrial threat, life was forever changed. What had once been a quiet, unassuming community now found itself at the center of a global awakening. The world's eyes were on Eldridge, not just because of Emily's bravery in speaking out, but because her story resonated with millions who had long suspected that something sinister was happening in the shadows. James Carter, Emily's father, became a key figure in the growing movement to expose the truth and hold governments accountable. His military background and connections gave him access to classified information that most civilians could never dream of seeing. As he delved deeper into the files shared by his old comrades, he uncovered patterns that chilled him to the bone. Abductions weren't random. They followed a methodical process targeting vulnerable individuals, those living in remote areas, those without strong social ties, those whose disappearances might go unnoticed for days or even weeks. It was as if the aliens had studied human society and identified its weakest points, exploiting them with surgical precision. What disturbed James the most was how widespread the phenomenon was. Reports poured in from every corner of the globe: farmers disappearing from fields in rural China, fishermen vanishing off the coast of Norway, entire families gone without a trace in the Australian outback. The scale of the operation suggested coordination among multiple alien species, each playing a role in a larger, more sinister agenda. Some abducted humans were returned, traumatized and physically altered, bearing strange marks or implants embedded in their bodies. Others were never seen again, leaving behind only unanswered questions and broken hearts. The public reaction was swift and powerful. Social media platforms lit up with hashtags like "No More Abductions" and "Protect Our Children," uniting voices from all walks of life. Protesters took to the streets, demanding transparency and action from their leaders. In cities around the world, crowds gathered outside government buildings holding signs that read, "We are not alone and we will fight back." For the first time in history, humanity wasn't divided by borders, languages, or ideologies. People of every race, religion, and nationality stood together, bound by a shared sense of vulnerability and resolve. Governments initially tried to downplay the situation, issuing vague statements about misunderstandings and unverified claims. But the evidence was overwhelming. Amateur astronomers captured footage of unidentified flying objects hovering over major cities. Satellite images showed glowing disks descending into remote regions, only to reappear moments later with unmistakable cargo aboard. Whistleblowers came forward, revealing classified documents that detailed decades of covert operations aimed at monitoring and covering up alien activity. The truth was undeniable. Earth was under siege, and its inhabitants had been left defenseless for far too long. Faced with mounting pressure, world leaders convened an unprecedented summit in Geneva, Switzerland. Representatives from nearly 200 nations attended, along with scientists, military officials, and representatives from grassroots organizations. The atmosphere was tense, charged with both urgency and hope. Never before had such diverse groups come together with a single purpose: to safeguard humanity's future. At the heart of the discussions was one simple yet profound question: how do we ensure that no one, not a child, not an elder, not anyone, is ever taken again? The answer lay in collaboration. Countries agreed to pool their resources, combining cutting-edge technology and scientific expertise to create a unified defense system. Billions of dollars were redirected from military budgets to fund research and development. Laboratories sprang up overnight, staffed by the brightest minds in physics, engineering, and artificial intelligence. Their mission was clear: build weapons, ships, and shields capable of repelling any alien incursion. Humanity had always been resourceful, and now it channeled that ingenuity toward survival. One of the most ambitious projects was the creation of star destroyers, massive spacecraft, designed to patrol Earth's orbit and intercept any hostile forces. These vessels were unlike anything humanity had ever built. Sleek and imposing, they bristled with advanced weaponry, including plasma cannons, electromagnetic pulse generators, and laser arrays capable of slicing through steel. Powered by revolutionary energy sources derived from fusion reactors, the star destroyers could operate indefinitely, ensuring constant vigilance. Inside, they housed state-of-the-art command centers, crew quarters, and medical facilities, making them self-sufficient fortresses in space. But building these marvels of engineering required sacrifices. Factories ran day and night, producing components with astonishing speed. Workers labored tirelessly, driven by a sense of duty and pride. Families rationed supplies so that materials could be diverted to the effort. Even children pitched in, organizing fundraisers and writing letters of encouragement to the engineers and builders. Every person played a part, no matter how small, contributing to the monumental task of protecting their planet. As construction progressed, humanity began preparing for the psychological toll of confronting an alien adversary. Governments launched campaigns to educate the public about what to expect and how to respond during an attack. Schools introduced new curricula focused on space awareness, teaching students about the universe beyond Earth and the importance of unity in the face of danger. Psychologists worked with communities to address fears and anxieties, emphasizing resilience and teamwork. Though the prospect of war was daunting, there was also a sense of empowerment. For the first time, humanity was taking control of its destiny, refusing to be passive victims. Back in Eldridge, Emily continued to play a vital role in rallying support. Her story had inspired countless others to speak out, breaking the silence that had allowed the abductions to continue unchecked. She traveled to neighboring towns, sharing her experience and urging people to stay vigilant. "If I can stand up," she told audiences during impassioned speeches, "then so can you. Together we're stronger than anything that comes for us." Her words struck a chord, galvanizing communities to form neighborhood watch groups, install security cameras, and report anything unusual to authorities. James, meanwhile, worked closely with military strategists to develop protocols for detecting and responding to alien threats. Drawing on his experience as a soldier, he emphasized the importance of quick decision-making and adaptability. "They've been studying us," he explained during briefings. "Now it's our turn to study them, learn their patterns, anticipate their moves, and strike before they have a chance to act." His insights proved invaluable, shaping the tactics that would soon be deployed against the invaders. By the time the first Star Destroyer was completed, humanity had undergone a transformation. No longer was Earth a fractured collection of nations. It was a united front, standing shoulder to shoulder against a common enemy. The unveiling of the fleet marked a turning point, a declaration to the universe that humanity would no longer tolerate exploitation or aggression. When the massive ships ascended into the sky, their sleek forms gleaming in the sunlight, cheers erupted across the globe. People watched in awe as the vessels positioned themselves above major cities, their presence both reassuring and intimidating. For the aliens watching from afar, the sight was nothing short of terrifying. For centuries, they had viewed humans as primitive, weak, and easily manipulated. They had underestimated the power of unity, the strength of determination, and the boundless potential of human creativity. Now, as Earth's skies parted to reveal an armada ready to defend its people, they realized their mistake. Humanity had risen to the challenge, proving that when pushed to the brink, it could achieve the impossible. In Eldridge, Emily stood with her parents gazing upward at the Star Destroyers floating gracefully above the horizon. Her heart swelled with pride and hope. The journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but she knew one thing for certain. Humanity was ready. Ready to fight. Ready to protect and ready to prove that no one, not even the stars themselves, could stand in the way of justice and peace. The unveiling of Earth's Star Destroyers marked a new chapter in human history, a chapter defined by defiance, innovation, and an unwavering commitment to safeguarding every life on the planet. The massive vessels, now hovering above major cities, were more than just machines. They were symbols of humanity's resilience and determination. For the first time, people around the world felt a sense of security that had long eluded them. Gone were the days when alien abductions could happen in secret, under the cover of darkness. Now, Earth was watching, and it was armed. But the presence of the Star Destroyers wasn't merely a defensive measure. It was also a message to the universe. Humanity was no longer prey. The sleek, imposing ships, bristling with advanced weaponry, served as a stark warning to any extraterrestrial civilizations that might have underestimated humans. Through centuries of evolution, humanity had proven itself adaptable, resourceful, and relentless in the face of adversity. And now, united as never before, it stood ready to confront whatever threats lay beyond the stars. As news of Earth's newfound military prowess spread across the galaxy, reactions varied among alien species. Some viewed the development with cautious respect, recognizing the potential consequences of provoking such a determined adversary. Others dismissed it as mere posturing, convinced that humanity's technological advancements were still too primitive to pose a real threat. But there were those who saw the Star Destroyers for what they truly represented. A line drawn in the cosmic sand, a declaration that humanity would not tolerate further exploitation or aggression. Among these skeptics was the Zorathian Collective, one of the most powerful and ruthless alien factions known to exist. The Zorathians had been responsible for countless abductions over the years, their motives ranging from scientific experimentation to resource extraction. To them, humans were little more than test subjects, fragile beings whose value lay solely in their genetic diversity and adaptability. When reports reached the Zorathian leadership about Earth's newly constructed fleet, their initial response was disbelief. How could a species so seemingly insignificant develop such formidable defenses? In such a short time, the leader of the Zorathian Collective, a towering figure named Vraxicor, convened an emergency council to discuss the situation. His advisors presented him with data gathered from reconnaissance missions, images of the Star Destroyers, schematics of their weapon systems, and analyses of their energy signatures. Despite the evidence, Vraxicor remained unconvinced. "These creatures are primitives," he sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. "Their technology is borrowed, stolen, or reverse-engineered from scraps we've left behind. They lack the discipline, the unity to wield it effectively." Vraxicor's arrogance blinded him to the reality unfolding on Earth. He failed to understand, or perhaps refused to acknowledge, that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its weapons, but in its spirit. The unity displayed by nations, working together, the sacrifices made by ordinary citizens, and the courage shown by individuals like Emily Carter were forces far greater than any plasma cannon or laser array. Yet, driven by pride and a desire to maintain dominance, Vraxicor decided to test humanity's resolve. If Earth believed it could challenge the Zorathian Collective, then it would learn the hard way just how wrong it was. Unbeknownst to humanity, the Zorathians began mobilizing their forces. Across distant star systems, fleets of warships prepared for deployment. These vessels, though smaller than Earth's Star Destroyers, were equipped with devastating weapons capable of obliterating entire cities. The Zorathians intended to strike, swiftly and decisively, hoping to cripple Earth's defenses before it could mount a counterattack. Their plan involved targeting key locations, military bases, research facilities, and population centers, in a coordinated assault designed to sow chaos and fear. Meanwhile, back on Earth, preparations continued at a feverish pace. While the Star Destroyers provided a formidable deterrent, humanity knew it couldn't rely solely on defense. Intelligence agencies worked tirelessly to monitor alien activity, intercepting communications and analyzing patterns to predict potential attacks. Satellite networks scanned the skies for any sign of incoming threats, while ground-based radar systems tracked movement within Earth's atmosphere. Every piece of information was relayed to command centers aboard the Star Destroyers, where teams of strategists and scientists coordinated responses. In Eldridge, life had returned to a semblance of normalcy, though the shadow of the alien threat loomed large. Emily attended school during the day, her classmates treating her with a mix of admiration and awe. By night, she accompanied her father to briefings held in a makeshift operations center set up in the town hall. James had become a local hero, his military expertise proving invaluable in organizing community efforts. Together, they drilled residents on emergency protocols, ensuring everyone knew what to do in case of an attack. Supplies were stockpiled, evacuation routes mapped out, and communication systems tested regularly. One evening, as Emily sat listening to a presentation about alien tactics, She noticed something unusual on one of the monitors. A cluster of blips appeared near the edge of Earth's orbit, moving steadily closer. Her heart skipped a beat as she pointed it out to her father. "Dad, look," she exclaimed, her voice trembling with urgency. James turned to examine the screen, his brow furrowing as he realized the implications. Without hesitation, he contacted the nearest Star Destroyer, relaying the coordinates and requesting immediate investigation. Within minutes, the Star Destroyer dispatched a squadron of fighter drones to intercept the unidentified objects. As the drones approached, their sensors confirmed the worst. It was a fleet of alien ships, unmistakably Zorathian in design. The invaders had arrived. Alarms sounded across Earth as news of the impending attack spread. Cities went into lockdown, civilians sought shelter, and military personnel scrambled to their posts. On board the Star Destroyers, crews sprang into action, manning weapon stations and plotting defensive maneuvers. The battle began high above Earth's atmosphere, where the Star Destroyers engaged the Zorathian fleet in a dazzling display of firepower. Plasma bolts streaked through space, illuminating the void with bursts of light. Laser beams sliced through enemy hulls, sending debris spiraling into the void. The Star Destroyer's electromagnetic pulse generators proved particularly effective, disabling entire squadrons of Zorathian fighters with a single blast. But the aliens fought back fiercely, unleashing barrages of missiles and energy blasts that shook the human vessels to their core. Despite the intensity of the conflict, humanity's unity gave it an edge. Crews aboard the Star Destroyers communicated seamlessly, sharing intelligence and coordinating strikes with precision. Engineers worked tirelessly to repair damage and reinforce shields, ensuring the ships remained operational. Ground-based defenses added another layer of protection, launching surface-to-air missiles that targeted low-flying alien craft attempting to breach Earth's atmosphere. Back in Eldridge, Emily watched the battle unfold on television, her hands clenched tightly in her lap. Images of exploding ships and streaking projectiles filled the screen, accompanied by live commentary from reporters struggling to convey the magnitude of the event. Though terrified, Emily felt a surge of pride as she witnessed humanity's resistance. This was the moment they had prepared for, the moment when Earth would prove it could stand up to any threat. As the hours passed, the tide of the battle began to turn. The Star Destroyer's superior firepower and strategic positioning allowed them to gain the upper hand, forcing the Zorathians into retreat. One by one, the alien ships disengaged, fleeing toward the outer reaches of the solar system. Cheers erupted across Earth as the victory became clear. Humanity had faced its first major test and it had emerged triumphant. In the aftermath of the battle, leaders from around the world addressed their citizens, praising their bravery and reaffirming their commitment to peace and security. The Star Destroyers remained vigilant, patrolling Earth's orbit and standing ready to repel any future attacks. Scientists and engineers analyzed data collected during the engagement, using it to refine their technologies and strategies. For Emily and her family, the victory brought both relief and renewed purpose. Though the immediate danger had passed, they knew the fight was far from over. Alien threats still lurked in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to strike again. But Emily took solace in knowing that humanity had shown its strength, not just in weapons and ships, but in its unity, courage, and determination to protect every life. No matter what challenges lay ahead, she believed wholeheartedly that humanity would rise to meet them. After all, if even one child wasn't safe, then no one truly was, and humanity had vowed never to let that happen again. The aftermath of humanity's first major victory against the Zorathian collective was a moment of triumph, but it also marked the beginning of a new reality. Earth had proven its strength, but the battle had revealed vulnerabilities that could not be ignored. While the Star Destroyers had successfully repelled the alien fleet, the damage inflicted on cities and infrastructure during the attack served as a sobering reminder of how fragile peace truly was. The scars left behind, burned landscapes, shattered buildings, and grieving families, were a testament to the cost of survival in a universe where danger lurked beyond every star. In Eldridge, life slowly returned to normal, though the town carried an air of quiet determination. Residents rebuilt homes and businesses damaged by stray blasts from the battle, their hands calloused, but their spirits unbroken. Emily Carter spent her days helping neighbors clean up debris and comforting those who had lost loved ones. Her courage during the crisis had earned her a special place in the hearts of the community, and people often stopped to thank her for inspiring them to stay strong. Yet despite the gratitude she received, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this fight was far from over. She knew the Zorathians wouldn't give up so easily, and other alien factions might see Earth's resistance as a challenge worth testing. James Carter, meanwhile, became even more deeply involved in coordinating Earth's defenses. His military experience made him a valuable asset, and he was frequently called upon to consult with leaders at both local and global levels. He worked closely with engineers to refine the Star Destroyer's systems, ensuring they were better equipped for future encounters. Every day brought new challenges, analyzing data from reconnaissance missions, training pilots to operate advanced fighter drones, and developing contingency plans for scenarios no one wanted to imagine. Despite the long hours and mounting pressure, James remained steadfast, driven by the memory of his daughter's bravery and the promise he had made to protect humanity. As weeks turned into months, Earth's newfound unity began to solidify into something greater, a global network of cooperation unlike anything seen before. Nations pooled resources not only to repair the damage caused by the battle, but also to expand their defensive capabilities. Factories churned out upgraded weapons, satellites scanned the skies for signs of alien activity, and research labs worked tirelessly to develop cutting-edge technologies. Humanity's ingenuity seemed boundless, fueled by the shared goal of ensuring that no one would ever feel powerless again. One of the most significant breakthroughs came from a team of scientists working on quantum communication technology. By harnessing principles of quantum entanglement, they created a system capable of transmitting information instantaneously across vast distances. This innovation revolutionized Earth's ability to coordinate its defenses, allowing star destroyers and ground forces to respond to threats in real time, regardless of location. It also opened the door to exploring deeper into space, giving humanity the tools needed to track alien movements and anticipate attacks before they happened. But technological advancements alone weren't enough to secure Earth's future. Leaders recognized the importance of addressing the psychological toll of living under constant threat. Schools introduced programs focused on resilience and teamwork, teaching children how to cope with fear and uncertainty while fostering a sense of community. Psychologists traveled to affected areas, offering counseling services to help survivors process their trauma. Communities organized events to celebrate acts of heroism and solidarity, reminding everyone that humanity's greatest strength lay in its ability to come together. While Earth prepared for whatever might come next, the Zorathian collective regrouped in the shadows of deep space. Vraxkor, humiliated by his defeat, seethed with anger and frustration. For centuries, his species had dominated weaker civilizations, exploiting them without consequence. To lose to humans, a species he considered insignificant, was intolerable. He vowed revenge, pouring all available resources into rebuilding his fleet and devising new strategies to crush Earth's resistance once and for all. Vraxkor's advisors warned him against underestimating humanity again, pointing out the risks of engaging such a determined adversary. But Vraxkor dismissed their concerns, convinced that brute force would prevail. "Their unity is fragile," he growled during a council meeting. "Strike hard enough, and they will fracture. Divide them and we conquer." With this mindset, he ordered the construction of massive warships designed to deliver overwhelming firepower. These vessels, larger and more heavily armed than anything humanity had faced before, were intended to obliterate Earth's defenses in a single decisive blow. Unbeknownst to the Zorathians, however, humanity had been watching. Thanks to advancements in quantum communication and surveillance technology, Earth's intelligence agencies intercepted transmissions detailing Vraxkor's plans. Analysts pieced together the information, identifying key weaknesses in the Zorathian strategy. One glaring flaw stood out: the aliens' reliance on centralized command structures. If Earth could disrupt their leadership, the entire operation might collapse. Armed with this knowledge, humanity devised a bold counterattack. Rather than waiting for the Zorathians to strike first, Earth decided to take the fight to them. Using WoW, stealth technology developed in secret, a small fleet of star destroyers slipped through enemy lines, targeting critical nodes in the Zorathian supply chain. Their mission was risky but necessary, to weaken the aliens' ability to launch another assault and buy Earth more time to strengthen its defenses. The operation, codenamed Eclipse, began with precision strikes on remote outposts used by the Zorathians to refuel and resupply their ships. Fighter drones deployed from the star destroyers disabled fuel depots, destroyed weapon caches, and sabotaged communication arrays. Each successful hit sent shockwaves through the Zorathian ranks, forcing them to divert resources away from their planned invasion. Meanwhile, Earth's main fleet remained on high alert, ready to intercept any retaliatory strikes. Back in Eldridge, Emily followed news of the operation with bated breath. Though she wasn't directly involved in the planning, her father kept her informed about the progress. Late one night, as they sat together in the dimly lit kitchen, James explained the stakes. "This isn't just about stopping them," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. "It's about showing them that we won't back down, that we'll do whatever it takes to protect our home and each other." Emily nodded, her eyes filled with resolve. "I know, Dad, and I'm proud of what we've done, but I'm scared too. What if they come back stronger? What if we can't stop them?" James placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Fear is natural, sweetheart. But remember this. We're not fighting alone. Every person on this planet has a role to play, whether it's building ships, caring for the wounded, or standing up when others are afraid. Together, we're unstoppable." As Operation Eclipse unfolded, its success exceeded expectations. The Zorathians, caught off guard by Earth's proactive approach, struggled to adapt. Communication breakdowns led to confusion among their fleets, while depleted supplies hampered their ability to mount a coordinated counteroffensive. Morale plummeted as rumors spread of Earth's growing strength and determination. Even Vraxkor began to doubt his chances of victory, though he refused to admit defeat publicly. On Earth, celebrations erupted as news of the operation's success reached the public. Cities lit up with fireworks, and crowds gathered in squares to cheer for the brave men and women who had risked everything to keep them safe. In Eldridge, residents held a parade in honor of their hometown heroes, including Emily and her family. As she waved to the cheering crowd, Emily felt a surge of pride, but also a deep sense of responsibility. Humanity had won this round, but the war was far from over. In the weeks that followed, Earth continued to fortify its position. New star destroyers joined the fleet, each more advanced than the last. Ground-based defenses expanded to cover even the most remote regions, ensuring no corner of the planet would go unprotected. Scientists pushed the boundaries of human knowledge, exploring possibilities once thought impossible. From artificial gravity generators to cloaking devices, every invention brought humanity closer to achieving parity with its extraterrestrial adversaries. Yet, amidst the progress, there was also reflection. Leaders convened summits to discuss the ethical implications of humanity's newfound power. Should Earth seek revenge against those who had wronged it, or focus on building alliances with peaceful alien species? How could it ensure that its actions aligned with the values of compassion and justice that defined humanity at its core? These questions weighed heavily on Emily as she looked toward the future. She understood that the choices made today would shape the course of history, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. Humanity had proven it could stand tall against even the most daunting challenges, but true greatness lay in using that strength wisely. Inspired by her father's words, she resolved to dedicate her life to fostering understanding and cooperation between worlds, believing that peace was the ultimate victory worth striving for. And so, as the stars twinkled above Eldridge, Emily gazed upward with hope in her heart. The road ahead would be difficult, fraught with dangers and uncertainties. As humanity stood victorious in the wake of Operation Eclipse, the world entered a new era. one defined not just by survival, but by growth, exploration, and an unwavering commitment to shaping its destiny. The Zorathian collective had been dealt a crippling blow, their fleets scattered and their resources depleted. Yet Earth's leaders knew better than to celebrate prematurely. Raxkor and his kind were resilient, and hatred burned deep within them. They would regroup eventually, stronger and more determined than ever. Humanity had bought itself time, but it needed to use that time wisely. In Eldridge, life continued to evolve in ways both profound and inspiring. The town, once a quiet corner of the world, had become a symbol of resilience and innovation. Its residents embraced their role as pioneers, contributing to global efforts while fostering a sense of community that others sought to emulate. Emily Carter, now a teenager, found herself at the center of this transformation. Her courage during the alien crisis had made her a household name, but she remained humble, using her platform to advocate for unity, education, and peace. She often spoke at schools and community events, sharing stories of how ordinary people could achieve extraordinary things when they worked together. James Carter, too, had grown into his role as a leader. No longer just a retired soldier or mechanic, he was now a strategist and mentor, guiding young recruits who dreamed of defending Earth from extraterrestrial threats. He worked closely with military commanders and scientists, ensuring that humanity's defenses remained cutting edge. But beyond his professional duties, James took pride in nurturing hope among those around him. Whether it was comforting a grieving family or encouraging a child to pursue their dreams, he embodied the spirit of resilience that had carried humanity through its darkest days. Meanwhile, Earth's technological advancements accelerated at an unprecedented pace. The quantum communication system, which had played a pivotal role in Operation Eclipse, became the backbone of humanity's interstellar network. It allowed star destroyers to communicate instantly across vast distances, enabling coordinated responses to emerging threats. Scientists also developed artificial gravity generators, making long-term space travel safer and more sustainable. These innovations weren't limited to defense. They spilled over into civilian life, improving healthcare, transportation, and energy production. Humanity's leap forward wasn't just about protecting itself, it was about thriving. But perhaps the most remarkable development was humanity's decision to reach out to other civilizations. Recognizing that not all extraterrestrial species posed a threat, Earth's leaders initiated diplomatic efforts to establish peaceful relations. Using advanced translation algorithms and cultural analysis tools, researchers decoded messages sent by distant alien races. Some of these communications expressed curiosity about Earth's sudden rise, while others offered cautious overtures of friendship. Humanity responded with openness, inviting ambassadors from benevolent species to visit and share knowledge. The first official contact came from the Luminal Concord, a coalition of enlightened beings dedicated to preserving harmony in the galaxy. Their arrival sparked both excitement and apprehension. Would they judge humanity harshly for its past mistakes? Or would they see the potential for good in a species that had risen from chaos to defend itself and others? When the Luminal delegation landed near Geneva, Switzerland, representatives from every nation gathered to welcome them. Emily, chosen as a youth ambassador, delivered a heartfelt speech that resonated deeply with the visitors. "We are flawed," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "We have made errors, caused pain, and struggled to understand one another. But we are learning. We are growing. And above all, we believe in the power of connection, to heal wounds, to build bridges, and to create a future where no one is left behind." Her words moved the Luminals, who saw in humanity a reflection of their own journey toward enlightenment. Over the following weeks, the two civilizations exchanged ideas, technologies, and philosophies. The Luminals shared insights on sustainable energy, universal healthcare, and conflict resolution, while humanity offered its unique perspectives on creativity, emotion, and adaptability. This exchange marked the beginning of a partnership that would shape the galaxy for generations to come. While diplomacy flourished, Earth's military remained vigilant. Star destroyers patrolled the solar system, their presence serving as both a shield and a deterrent. Intelligence agencies monitored alien activity, intercepting transmissions and analyzing patterns to anticipate potential threats. Ground-based defenses expanded to cover even the most remote regions, ensuring no corner of the planet went unprotected. Training programs prepared soldiers for the challenges of interstellar warfare, emphasizing teamwork, strategy, and ethical decision-making. Yet, the true test of humanity's resolve came sooner than expected. Months after the Luminal Alliance, reports surfaced of a rogue faction known as the Krythar Horde. Unlike the Zorathians, who sought domination through stealth and cunning, the Krythars relied on brute force and sheer numbers. They viewed weaker species as obstacles to be eliminated, showing no mercy in their quest for galactic supremacy. Intelligence suggested they were amassing a massive fleet near Earth's outer rim, preparing for an assault unlike anything humanity had faced before. Faced with this looming threat, Earth's leaders convened an emergency summit. Military strategists, scientists, and diplomats collaborated to formulate a plan that combined defense, diplomacy, and deterrence. The Star Destroyers formed the core of the response, positioning themselves along key choke points to intercept the Krythar advance. At the same time, emissaries reached out to allied alien species, including the Luminals, seeking reinforcements and support. Humanity understood that this battle wouldn't be won alone. It required the collective strength of all who valued peace and cooperation. As the Krythar fleet approached, tension gripped the planet. In Eldridge, families huddled together, praying for safety. Soldiers manned their posts, ready to give everything to protect their loved ones. Emily joined her father aboard a Star Destroyer, determined to witness history firsthand. Though frightened, she drew strength from the camaraderie around her, the shared purpose that united everyone regardless of rank or background. The battle that followed was nothing short of epic. Star Destroyers clashed with Krythar warships in a dazzling display of firepower and strategy. Plasma bolts lit up the void, while fighter drones darted between vessels, targeting weak points with precision. The Krythars fought ferociously, their overwhelming numbers threatening to overwhelm Earth's defenses. But humanity's ingenuity and unity tipped the scales. Quantum encrypted commands allowed ships to coordinate seamlessly, while cloaking devices enabled surprise attacks. Reinforcements from the Luminals arrived just in time, tipping the balance decisively in Earth's favor. When the dust settled, the Krythar fleet lay in ruins, its remnants retreating into the depths of space. Cheers erupted across Earth as news of the victory spread. Cities erupted in celebration, fireworks lighting up the night sky. In Eldridge, residents gathered in the town square, embracing one another and singing songs of triumph. Emily stood beside her father, tears streaming down her face as she realized what they had achieved. Not just survival, but proof that humanity could stand alongside the stars. In the aftermath, Earth emerged stronger than ever. Its alliances with benevolent alien species grew deeper, fostering a spirit of collaboration that transcended borders and species. Scientific breakthroughs continued to pour in, driven by a shared desire to explore and understand the universe. Humanity's story inspired countless others, proving that even the smallest spark of hope could ignite a flame capable of illuminating the darkest corners of existence. For Emily, the journey ahead was filled with possibilities. She dreamed of becoming an ambassador, bridging gaps between worlds and fostering understanding where none existed before. Her father encouraged her, proud of the woman she had become. Together they looked to the stars, knowing that humanity's place among them was secure, not because of its weapons or technology, but because of its heart. And so, as the sun set over Eldridge, casting golden rays across the horizon, Emily gazed upward with a smile. The road ahead would be challenging, fraught with dangers and uncertainties. But humanity had proven time and again that it could overcome anything, as long as it stood united. For the first time in history, Earth wasn't just a planet. It was a beacon of hope shining brightly in the vast expanse of the cosmos.